All right, joining me now on the podcast is Steve Rolls. He's got a middleweight fight coming up. I should say super middleweight fight, technically speaking, against former middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin this Saturday live at Madison Square Garden. It's going to be live on Dazn. Huge opportunity for Steve Rolls and coming in the aftermath of one of the biggest upsets we've seen in a generation. Andy Ruiz knocking out Anthony Joshua. And Steve joins me here on the podcast. What's up, Steve?
Not much, man. Just enjoying the fight week, all the media and all that stuff, and just getting ready to perform on Saturday night.
All right, so let me ask you, because this type of atmosphere is new to you. You know, the major fight, mega fight, not a world championship fight, but going up against one of the biggest names in boxing. How has the week been in terms of your comfort level in this type of atmosphere?
I've been very comfortable. It's definitely a new experience, but you know, this is something that, you know, I visioned and stuff when I first got into boxing. Once you reach this stage, I knew that, you know, this stuff came with it. So,
So did you watch the Ruiz fight on Saturday?
yeah, definitely.
It's now called the Ruiz fight, by the way. It used to be, up until it was the Anthony Joshua fight. Now it's the Ruiz fight.
Yeah. No, I definitely watched it, and you know, it was a great fight. I thought it was a great performance and a great win for Ruiz.
Do you, when that fight's over and you know your fight's coming up next week and you are as long, if not longer odds for the bookmakers in a fight like that, does that give you any kind of extra jolt seeing somebody that's such a big underdog do what Andy Ruiz did?
I think it's always great, you know, to appreciate a good underdog story. You know, I had my intentions of pulling that off much before the Ruiz fight. But, you know, it's like I said, it's motivating and stuff like that to see an underdog and stuff pull something like that off. You know, and I'm definitely looking forward to do the same thing on Saturday night.
So Andy Ruiz, to get that fight, he Instagram messaged Eddie Hearn and said, "I want that fight." How did you get the Gennady Golovkin fight?
I actually got a call from my manager. You know, Lou's been trying to get me all kinds of fights and opportunities, and he had put my name in because Gennady's former opponent fell out, and yeah, we got selected. So my manager called me. It was life-changing news, and, you know, I didn't have to think twice.
Did it surprise you to get that call to hear?
Yeah, definitely. Just because, you know, I've been going through a lot of ups and downs. I've been trying to get fights with, you know, guys with a little more recognition and stuff that could put me on TV so I could get much more exposure than I've had. So, you know, not being successful getting those type of fights, then getting a call and shooting straight to the top, you know, it's a great feeling.
So tell me a little bit about your background, and, you know, for people that heard Gennady Golovkin versus Steve Rolls, a lot of people went, "Who is that?" Your background began where?
You know what? It began. I started boxing in Chatham, Ontario. Then I moved to Toronto, where I had most of my career. Had a pretty good amateur career. Got on the national team. Represented my country in a lot of duels and tournaments, the World Championships. Turned professional in 2011. At the end of the beginning of 2011, and had some ups and downs, more obstacles, a lot of obstacles, and then I got with my current manager, Todd Christie, and things started rolling. Then shortly after that, we got with DeBella. And yeah, brings me to this day. So
what's the Canadian boxing scene like? Do you all just like kind of grow up worshiping George Chuvalo and things like that? What is it like?
Well, he's definitely appreciated, man. Like the guy's, he's a legend. He did a lot for Toronto back in the day. But usually when you think about Canadian boxing, you think a lot of about Quebec and stuff, because a lot of a few of those guys actually been in the spotlight. Like a guy like David Lemieux, fought Triple G before, and there's a few other boxers, Adonis Stevenson and John Pascal. But you know, I think the boxing's starting to grow in Toronto, Ontario, where I'm from. It's starting to grow. We have promoters trying to really push it in the city, and I think me being with this fight and having a fight of this magnitude, it's definitely going to help, you know, give Ontario boxing a lot more recognition.
So tell me a little bit about the ups and downs that you talked about, because you're not a complete unknown by any stretch. You fought on Showbox before. Yeah. You're undefeated. You've clearly been trying to get that significant fight, but it hasn't come to fruition up until this point. What happened there?
Well, you know, I think a lot of guys, they see me like, and, you know, I'm an undefeated guy. Like you said, I'm known but not well known. And I think a lot of these promoters didn't want to take risks from what I was told. So they turned down a fight. You know, boxing's a business as well. And just like, you know, the obstacles of inactivity, that wasn't by my choice. You know, I wanted to stay busy, but sometimes that happens in boxing, you know, the business of boxing. So that was one of the major obstacles, is just, the inactivity and trying to get fights and having fights fall through.
What's one that fell through that, or at least a fight that you wanted, you thought you were going to get, but it didn't materialize?
Well, one fight I was going to have actually back in 2017, early 2017. I was supposed to fight on a undercard of Cotto. I forget, it was Cotto maybe in Kirkland. That fell through. And there was another fight I was supposed to fight, like Rosado, and that one fell through. And I was just trying to push for all the names, like anybody with a name, even like guys that are ranked higher than them. I was trying to push for all those names, and we weren't successful.
How frustrating was that? Because at this stage of your career, in your mid-30s, the clock is ticking. Yeah. You need to get that opportunity. How frustrating was that?
Oh, it was very frustrating. Like I said, when I got into boxing, I envisioned me fighting at this stage, and I've always, I'm a guy that, when I get into something or when I do something, I put my all into it, and I want to see it through. But yeah, there was definitely a time when I said, you know what, I might have to rethink what I'm gonna do because this isn't working out for me. And it was unfortunate, but I had people around me that cared about me and loved me and said, listen, you're too good, just keep on pushing forward like you usually do, you're mentally strong. And I did, and here I am today.
Were you close to retiring at all?
Yeah, it wasn't, well, yeah, the thoughts ran through my mind. They did, they ran through my mind.
So if you weren't boxing, I know you're a personal trainer as well, what would you be doing?
Well, that's the thing. There's a few things I had in mind, but I'm not quite sure. I was thinking about maybe even going back to school. I just, I put so much into this that, that would have had to been something that, I really thought over. I actually thought of opening up a gym and stuff like that too, but, I never really put too much into anything else but this. So.
When you're fighting at the middleweight weight class, Golovkin's been there for a long time. Over the years, did you ever think about what would happen if you got in the ring with Gennady?
Well, it's funny. I never really thought about what would happen, but I did think about, listen, one day, if you continue with this and you have the success like you think you might, that you will have, you're going to be fighting a Golovkin or a Canelo. So, I always in the back of my mind prepared for a moment like this.
How do you prepare to fight a Gennady Golovkin? I mean, are you a guy that watches a lot of film of his old fights? I mean, how do you prepare for something?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of Golovkin, and then, especially because now that I'm getting in the ring with him, we've been watching a lot of tape and been studying him. And, we came up with a few game plans, but I know that I'm confident in myself that, I'm an all-around fighter and I have the ability to adapt if necessary. So that gives me my confidence. Going up against a guy like Golovkin, who's been a dominant middleweight for the past, one of the most dominant middleweights for the past couple of eras, and he has so much experience. So I feel that, my ability to adapt and everything will help me out with that.
What do you think your path to victory is? Because with Ruiz and Joshua, I think we knew coming in that Joshua's chin was a little bit suspect, and if he did catch him, at least that was possible. With Gennady, he's shown a pretty granite chin over the years. He's been hit by a lot of decent punchers, most recently Canelo, and he stood up to it. I mean, are you going into this prepared to go the distance and you have to win a decision?
100%. When I go into any fight, no matter who it is, I always prepare to go the distance. I never think about the knockout. If the knockout comes, that's a bonus. You know what I mean? My night ends early. But, for Golovkin, I just got to have the perfect performance. I've had a wonderful camp, a great training camp, and, I got to give the best performance possible to pull out the win, and that's what I'm looking forward to do on Saturday night.
You've said that and you just said again that you're excellent at making adjustments in the ring. Can you give an example of a fight you had where you made a significant adjustment and were able to win?
Well, there's a few amateur fights I've had. The fight with one of my earlier fights in my career with a guy named Steve Whittle, I actually got knocked down that fight. It was like a flash knockdown. I got it back up to knock him out the round after that. And with Damon Nicholson, I was actually injured in that fight. A lot of people didn't know. And I felt I made the adjustments to pull off the victory in that. And just with all the experience of sparring world-class guys, I've been in there with a lot of world champions and stuff like that, and did very well to where people didn't know who the world champion was in the ring. So I just feel that all my experience overall is going to help me.
To get a decision win over Golovkin, you've got to at some point trade with him a little bit to score some of those points. he still is a heavy hitter. And, you know, when as people that are listening to the podcast, Steve just nodded his head saying that. I mean, how do you balance that, you know, to trying to score points but still trying to avoid those big shots?
Well, that's what I expected going into a fight like this. It's not going to go one way. And what I mean by that is it's not going to be a boxing match where I'm just moving and putting my jab out, you know. I know it's going to be a fight where all the tools are going to have to come out. There's going to be a little bit of trading on the inside. There's going to be, you know, some sticking and moving, body shot. There's going to be all kinds of things, and I just kind of prepare myself for that. And again, it's just, you know, the experience. You know what I mean? I've been in there with guys that like cruiserweights. I'd spar with cruiserweights, and I'm not talking about feather-fisted cruiserweights. I'm talking about hard-hitting cruiserweights in the past too, and held my own. So, you know, I'm confident in myself that if I have to take a shot, you know what I mean, that, you know, I'll be able to absorb it okay. But, you know, I'm not trying to give anything away to a guy like Golovkin because that's just dangerous, right? We've worked extremely hard on defense and everything, so.
One thing that Ruiz came into his fight with Joshua was with a lot of confidence. Like, no matter what people said to him, he believed that he was going to win. And you thought watching him that he was a little bit crazy coming into that Joshua fight, but sure enough, he was right. Do you have that same confidence? Do you fully believe that this is a fight you can win?
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't have taken this fight if I didn't think I could win. You know what I mean? Like, when I got into boxing and to this day, obviously all the things that come with it, when it comes to money and everything, that's great, but I don't think about that. I think about going to win. Like, you know, I had a personal goal that eventually I want to become world champion. So I'm not just here taking fights because, oh, well, the payday is good, but I don't think I have a chance. I'm not that guy. If I take a fight, no matter what fight I'm in, I believe I'm one of the best middleweights in the world, and I'm coming to win, and that's it.
You got a promoter that screams into every microphone that he can get in front of that you're going to win. Last question for you. One of the things that Andy got really emotional afterwards about how that win changed his life because he's got the money from that fight. He's got the money from a rematch. I was talking to him just the other day, and he said he was going to buy a place in San Diego now for his whole family. I know you said you're not here for the money, but that's what comes with prize fighting and the opportunity that comes with it. What would a win in a fight like this mean to you?
Well, let me touch up on that. I said money's not my primary goal, but it is for the money too, obviously. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you want to put your family in a better position, and that's what I'm doing this for too. But a win for me would be just it would just be so rewarding, man. Just from all the ups and downs and stuff like that I've been through. You know, just achieving a goal that you set for yourself from the very start. A guy like Golovkin, you might as well call this a world title fight. Because beating a guy like Golovkin, you know what I mean, you could be even considered one of the best middleweights in the world. I could call myself, basically, I'm unified because he's been so dominant, you know. So this fight to me is very important, very, very important, and it mean the world to me, and that's what I'm going to bring on Saturday night.
You know, it's not Gennady's fault that everybody asks him about what's next. I mean, he just answers the questions that are presented to him. But do you think there's any part of him that might be looking past you and looking at what could come in September?
I don't think so. I don't think Golovkin's that type of opponent. He seems like a real serious guy to me. And to be successful and that dominant for that long, I think he understands and he knows. And especially after, you know, I knew all along, and fighters know all along that, you know what, when you get in the ring with anybody, you're in there with another man that's dangerous. I don't care what their record is, where they're from, you know, they're dangerous. They're a threat. And, you know, a lot of people, just for what happened last week, I think it made a lot of the fans realize the same thing with Ruiz and Joshua, that, you know what, you get two guys in there, anything can happen.
How do you think, just as I said last question, I got one more for you, the atmosphere at the Garden, the two fights that I've been to recently, one involved Rocky Fielding and Canelo, and one involved Andy Ruiz. And both the challengers, Fielding and Ruiz, had very different reactions when they got to the arena and they did the ring walk. I thought Rocky Fielding was really affected by what was going on around him and that it made him really nervous. Whereas Andy Ruiz is like a space cadet, where he's just like, all right, well, this is great and I like being here. I'm going to knock this guy out now. Which one do you think you'll be closer to? I mean, how do you think you'll deal with everything that comes with a fight like this?
I'm definitely going to have more of the Andy Ruiz approach. Like I said, I love this, man. This is what I've been wanting to do. The media and all that other stuff hasn't gotten to me one bit. I actually feel I belong here, and I feel that this is just the beginning so this for the next chapter of my career. So, you know, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to love every minute of it, and yeah. That's it.
Steve Rolls, good luck to you Saturday night, Madison Square Garden, live on Dazn. Everyone out there looking forward to this one. Thanks for joining me, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you.